Good morning. You're watching the F&O Show on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning. I'm Agam Akil, and here are the top headlines of this hour. Benchmark indices continue to consolidate. The Indian VIX falls further. But traders buy Pidilite futures as company announces a consideration of a buyback. And Bharti Airtel is one of the top losers on the Nifty after the Tanzanian government stakes claim to Airtel's operations in the East African nation. And a special court will announce its judgment in the 2G spectrum case today, 6 years after the hearing began.
All right, let's take a look as to what's happening in the futures and options market. Well, clearly the trend continues to be on the upside, but sideways is the trade that one has been seeing since yesterday. Nifty has actually given up its opening gains and it's trading below the mark of 10,450. The premium currently is at about 12 points. In fact, even if you look at Bank Nifty, that's the one which is going to be in focus on back of the weekly options which expire today. So watch out for Bank Nifty. The premium currently is about 25 points and the Bank Nifty is trading around those levels of 25,554. I just want to highlight Bank Nifty is broken yesterday's low of 25,566. In fact, that was the level you could have watched out on the downside, but that's already broken in today's session. Well, in terms of option strike today also, we've seen a lot of put writing coming back onto the 10,400 Nifty strike, and call writing continues on the 10,500 and the 10,600 call strike. Remember, for markets to scale higher, Nifty needs to convincingly close above the mark of 10,500 for the December series. That's the strike where maximum open interest concentration is, and most of the analysts are of the view once it closes above that mark, probably you could see levels of about 10,600 or 700 on Nifty. In terms of Bank Nifty, where can the expiry take place? In terms of open interest concentration, at least so far, it is between 25,500 to about 26,000 on the upside, but we've broken yesterday's low. Let's see what happens, but clearly today is the day where the option writers are pretty active. In fact, since yesterday they've been active to pocket that premium whichever is remaining, because the time value has eroded in today's session as the options contract expire. If you go by the premiums on any of these Bank Nifty option strike, they've contracted substantially, Agam.
All right, let's take a look at some of the stocks which are looking at a surge in open interest, and of course we have the likes of Pidilite, which is right at the top. But look at Balkrishna Industries for now. It's looking at a near 116% increase in open interest as the stock falls by as much as 3.9%. Of course, we do have a corporate action going along when it comes to Balkrishna Industries. It will be up for some amount of correction. Of course, the stock price will be halved. M&M, of course, is also looking at an increase of as much as 100%. That is again because of the corporate action that we are looking at, and of course Castrol India for the similar reason. Motherson Sumi is one of those stocks which is looking at quite a bit of correction right now. It's down as much as 3%. Its open interest has surged by as much as 31%, and that's the same for Wockhardt, where we are looking at about a 20% increase with about a good 5.5% increases in its underlying. So longs building up there. Let's pull up the list of stocks which are looking at unwinding in today's day of trade. Not too much to speak for, but Voltas does see about a 2.5% decline in OI, followed by DLF, Reliance Capital, PVR, and Nalco, all of which are looking at, well, about nearly 1.5 to 2% decline in open interest. But I'll be watching out for Motherson Sumi, Navneet, because we are looking at quite a bit of weakness there, and we've also seen a surge in open interest.
And on the upside, Agam, Wockhardt is having a great session after coming out of the F&O ban for today's trade. So do watch out for that counter as well. Up 5% the underlying, open interest higher by almost 20%, indicating fresh long build up there. Okay, then as volatility cools off, the market has seen good gains in the past few sessions. We'll get you some expert views going onto the F&O for the F&O market. But before we get our guest on the show, here's a reminder for you all. If you have any queries regarding the futures and options market, you can call us now on 022-4540-4141. You can also write to us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, with #AskSpeakYou hashtag. Let's welcome our F&O experts for the day then. Gaurav Bissa of LKP Securities and Amit Shah of BOB Capital Markets joins us on the show now. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen, and appreciate you both joining us today on Bloomberg Quint. Let me go across to Amit. What's the view on the index currently? Because, there are a lot of these derivatives reports I've been reading, and majority of them say that Nifty needs to close above that mark of 10,500 for it to propel further to those levels of 10,700 or 800. Do you see that happening in the December series, or it may just take some time?
So if you see the start of the December series, it has been quite strong. The open interest has increased from 1.78 crores to almost 2.34 crores. Plus, in last couple of days, we have seen significant put writing activity from 10,300 to 10,500 strike prices. And put writing at the money strike price, which is 10,500, definitely it adds more positive bias on the market. So technically and derivative combined together, the more we hold about 10,320, 350 odd mark, the possibility of upside is quite high. Call writers are still intact at 10,500. It's important to see how we span out, and ahead of the expiry, if we starts seeing some unwinding happening, then I think the market is poised for 10,700, 750 levels on the upside.
Right. Gaurav, good morning to you as well. There is this mention about writing the in-the-money put of 10,500. Based on this, what do you make of, the variables and perhaps your outlook on the benchmark indices going forward?
Good morning. About 10,500 put option being sold, I would like to add something to that. If you look at the VIX index, we have seen VIX index falling. There's a drop in IVs. So what people are generally saying, there has been an increment in OI addition that we have seen at 10,500 put option. On the other hand, the premiums had reduced. So it need not be only because of the fact that people have sold it. It can also be because of the fact that IVs had reduced. So yesterday, the call as well as put, both the premiums had reduced a bit, and as we approach the expiry, let us also keep in mind that there will be a truncated week next week. We have a 3-4 days continuous holiday, so that again would mean that just approaching the expiry, the theta component increases, and add to that we have a holiday as well. So again, that can also be the reason why we saw a drop coming in matter of put options being down. So I think that can also be one of the reasons. I would not look at it as that people have aggressively sold 10,500 put option. I don't think that would be the right way to approach it. On the other hand, I would rather give more focus or more pertinence to 10,400 put option, where we have seen good amount of writing happening. It has the second highest OI concentration in the put series. So as long as Nifty is around above 10,400, there is a chance that it may try to retest levels of 10,500. And as we all been talking about, 10,500 is a very pivotal level. If that is sustained, then another 150, 200 points cannot be ruled out. So for me, the ideal way to approach the market would be to buy Nifty at around 10,400 mark with a stop loss of 30-40 points and play for targets of 100 rupee.
Well, the 10,400 put strike in today's session is added almost 2.6 lakh shares so far. Okay, then let's shift our focus to the options corner now and check what sort of option strategies that our experts are advocating in today's session. Amit, you're somewhere betting for the level of 10,500. Your option strategy is a callback spread where you're suggesting to buy 2 lots of 10,500 call and to sell 1 lot of 10,400 strike.
Yeah, so the rationale is this strategy, firstly, it's a bullish strategy. And if you see the IVs, they are properly skewed. Even the at-the-money IVs are at a decent level as mentioned. And in-the-money IVs are always on the higher side. So here, this strategy plays off very well on both the sides. Even on the downside, this strategy is protected with the minimum risk. And once it starts moving about 10,500, and the break-even point for this is 580 on the upside and 420 on the downside. So once it starts hovering above 500, we will see that market will any which ways lead to a strong momentum where the call writers will be pressurized to unwind their positions, and that will add fuel to the momentum in the market. So this strategy will play off quite well, where once it starts hovering above 500, above 580, again it can see some momentum where the strategy can see unlimited profits on the upside. And on the downside, if it breaks 400, anyways the momentum is lost for this expiry. As 390 technically is a good support, and 400 put writers are also located. So anyways, below 400, this strategy will not incur any losses. In fact, there will be a marginal gain of 20 odd points.
Gaurav, you are selling the 10,450 call and put, which means that you are selling a straddle right now. Can you take us through your strategy?
Well, the rationale is quite simple. Some part of that I have already discussed earlier, that we have a truncated week, and as we approach the expiry, the theta component increases. It's quoting around 115, 120. So I think it is a decent amount strategy. Nifty is trading around 10,450 mark. So I consider at the money put, both the options have just the time value component in them. We have 6 to 7 days more for trading, and if you compare, we should be getting around 10 rupees or somewhere around those 10 rupees sort of every day. So taking that into consideration, also the fact that 10,500 has a lot of writing in the call side, 10,400 and put option has seen a lot of writing. It makes a good case that Nifty would continue to consolidate a bit more for next few trading sessions, in which case we can have a decent amount of returns by selling options. I would rather play with a bullish biasness only about the breakout of 10,500, in which case one can be a little bit aggressive, or play around 10,400 for a small bounce. In both the scenarios, I think it can be a lucrative strategy. The risk reward, the break-even also quite lucrative. 10,350, 10,330 on the lower end, that is a break-even. 10,550, 570 on the upper end, that is the break-even. So I think it's a low-risk strategy. One can have a stop loss of 140, play for odds of 85 to 70.
Okay, so those are a couple of the option strategies being advised from both our experts for the day. But let's also talk about the buzzing stock futures in today's trading session. We were speaking about walk hard. The counter has come out of the F&O ban, and underlying today has seen substantial gains. It's trading with gains of almost 5% in just 45 to 50 minutes of trade. We've also seen good build up on the December futures as the open interest is up almost 20%. Not only that, I just want to pull up the Nifty Pharma Index. That's your biggest sectoral gainer too for the day. So you've got stocks like Sun Pharma, Divi's Laboratories, Cadila Healthcare, Glenmark, all of them have been trading in the positive territory. But Walcott is the one which is bucking the trend today. And Amit, on the charts with 5% moves at current levels on Walcott, which is currently about 848, would you advise to take any sort of position here?
See, if you're looking for a long-term structure, definitely pharma space is not in a comfort zone. Walcott has been consistently making a lower top, lower bottom formation since April 15 and has been struggling to give any pullback in the market. Currently, right now, it has made some bottoming around 600. From there, it has reversed. So long-term structure, definitely, I would be cautious in the pharma space, and especially in Walcott as well. For the short term, considering this pullback and the built-in the open interest, I think the stock can see another 100 to 120 points up move in this pullback.
Right. I also want to talk about Motherson Sumi. Now, let's take a look at that stock. It's currently declined by as much as nearly 3%. There you have it. That's the underlying. It's looking at a surge of nearly 32% in open interest. Very recently, the stock was hovering well over the mark of 390, 95. In fact, until yesterday, and it had moved quite a bit. You know, there was a steady increase. Now, let's take a technical standpoint as well. Gaurav, what's going on with Motherson Sumi right now? Because we're clearly looking at fresh shorts building in here. You know, what do you make of the moves on a technical standpoint, as well as what's happening with respect to its futures?
We saw a decent amount of long positions getting built in the name, and it again retraced levels of 368, 370, and from there on again fresh longs were seen getting built. There's a strong direction that we are seeing at 83, 88, 390 zone. Some amount of unwinding also seen on those levels. Here, I would not be shorting the name. Rather, I would just wait for some more time. If we are closing above 370 or 380 today, then I think it would make again a good case to buy with a stop of 376, and it can retest levels of 390.
Okay, that's the view coming in on a couple of the stock futures, but it's the time for us to address our viewer queries for the day, and our first caller is through, I guess. We'll just get that caller on the line for you. But before that, let me just talk about Pidilite. I guess that's the stock which has been in focus, Agam.
Right.
The stock's actually hit its all-time high levels today, and I know the board's going to meet on 26th of December to mull buyback. So
right.
I believe it's on back of that news that's the move that we're seeing on Pidilite, up almost 4%, open interest up 22%. Amit, quickly, at these levels, would you advise people to book their profits if they were holding longs, or they should just hold on?
So definitely the breakout has been quite strong, and the open interest also has increased quite substantially. The stock structurally is very strong. For someone who is looking for a long-term to medium-term perspective, definitely can hold. This is going to make a series of higher top, higher bottom formation. For a short-term, someone who is a short-term trader can trail their stop loss to 910 levels and hold on to their long position for upside towards 950 to 960 in short-term.
Okay, let's go across to some of our queries then. Well, we have a caller right now. We have Amit Mog who's calling us. Hi Amit, thanks for joining us. Tell us, what would you like to know from our experts?
Yeah, hi team. Good morning. Actually, I bought a BHEL 100 call for the December month, which is having the expiry at December. But I bought it at 1.30, but it's like 80% in loss as of now. So, do I to put hold with it or can I sell?
Okay.
I'm not getting any idea on BHEL.
All right, Amit, I'm going to come to you on Amit's query. Well, he has bought the BHEL 100 call at around 1.3, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's making a lot of losses right now. It's currently trading at 0.3. So, what should he do now?
I don't see that in the time frame which is remaining. I don't see any activity which can happen in BHEL. In fact, the structure is also on the weaker side. So.
Right.
Exiting the strategy would make sense on every rise. However, if slightly if a customer is going to take the risk, then he can consider to sell 95 call to hedge some of his position.
Okay.
But purely 100 is quite far from these levels, considering 7 odd days which are left from the expiry. So definitely one can exit from this trade.
Right.
Okay, that's the view coming in on BHEL. Amit suggests to exit from that trade where our viewer Amit had taken 2 lots of 100 strike of BHEL, which is where the premium is actually contracted substantially. Okay, then let's move on and take the other viewer query. We've got a caller lined up and we've got Dinesh who's called us. Hi Dinesh, good morning to you and thanks a lot for calling us today. Tell us what's your query on?
Actually, I had purchased 10,400 calls, two lots.
Okay.
And 10,451 lot.
Could you tell me the premium at which you purchased, Dinesh?
It's 10,400 at 92.
Okay.
No, it's the average price is around 65 something.
Okay, average price is 65.
Yeah.
Great. And for 10,450 strike?
That was around 81 something.
81. Okay,
Yeah.
Can we just check where these strikes are actually trading right now? 10,450 is at 62, he purchased at 81. 10,402 strike at an average price of 65. So 10,400, okay, here he's pretty much in the money.
Right.
Gaurav, what would you suggest Dinesh to do? He's holding 10,400 and the 10,450 call strikes on Nifty. In one, he's in the money. In the other one, I think the premium is just down by 2-3 points.
I would suggest that at least for 10,400 he can book one lot. He has a couple of lots. Since he's already in the money, I would recommend him to book profit in one lot. I have a trailing stop loss of 82, 83 in the other lot for the reason that since it's the in the money option, any dip in the Nifty, say if Nifty falls 20 rupees, the option would also fall 20 rupees. So I think I have a stop loss of 82 rupees for the second lot. As far as 10,450 is concerned, I have a stop loss of 55, 56 and one can hold. If the levels of 10,440 are held for some more time, there can be some bounce that we can see towards 10,480 mark, and if that is sustained, some more upside can be seen. So the bias is still a little bit positive. Have a stop loss of 55 and hold 10,450.
All right, let's move on to queries on social media then. And our first query comes from Neha Mehra, and she holds the Amara Raja December futures at 801, and she wants to know what should be the target and at what rate can she can book positions. It's currently trading at 842. She's clearly making a decent amount of money out there. So around. Gaurav, if I can come back to you on this one, Amara Raja Batteries. Her entry price is 801. It's currently trading at 842. Should she book? Should she keep trailing her stop losses? What would you advise her?
I would recommend holding the stock. I have a trailing stop loss. It's already moved up quite a bit, so I think having a trailing stop would make sense. 834, 35 is good enough level to have a trailing stop loss for. On the upside, the immediate additions are seen at 855. If those are taken out, then even 870 would become quite possible for the current series. So I think one can hold, have a stop loss of 835.
Okay, that's the view coming in there. But our next query comes from Lalita Jain, who's written to us on Facebook. She wants to know if it is advisable to take position in any of the banking stock futures at current levels. Okay, that's an open-ended question, Amit. Any banking stock future that you like, either on the upside or downside, where our viewers can make money?
So in the private bank space, I like DCB Bank, which is trading around 192 odd levels. So if you see the long-term structure, it has made a very good consolidation, price and time-wise consolidation around 180 to 175 odd band. And after this, it has given a breakout above 190, and it's sustaining quite strongly above it. Even if you notice, since the start of the December series, this the open interest has spiked more than 55% in DCB Bank. So definitely the positions are building quite strong. The rollovers from the November series were also quite strong in DCB Bank among the entire private banking space. So DCB Bank, the risk reward looks very much favorable. I think it is poised to retest its recent high of 213.15 odd levels. And on the downside, 179 would be the key support. So DCB Bank one can look at for buying for 215 targets.
All right. So, moving on, before we wrap up the show, let's also take a look at the trading strategies that our experts have for our viewers. So, well, Amit, I'm going to come back to you. What do you have? What are you recommending?
Well, I'm recommending Tata Elxsi a buy call. The stock has been, after a brief consolidation last year, entire year, where it has retraced its Fibonacci retracement levels, has shown a good spike from those levels and has showed a pullback from 600 to 950 odd levels very steeply. So I think this stock is poised for making higher top, higher bottom formations in the coming months and can take out the recent the all-time high of 1200 quite soon in a positional term. Even on a short-term basis, the stock has seen a good amount of open interest since the start of the December series, where it has increased by 10% odd. Yesterday, the open interest increased by 5%.
Right.
So I think the risk reward looks favorable from here. The stop loss would be 940 to 930 on the downside, and on the upside, one can look at 1020 to 1050 in short term.
Wasn't this Ashish Chatramurtha's call for the longest
yes,
time,
and
Tata
in fact,
Elxsi?
quite a few analysts have been recommending Tata Elxsi for quite a while, and it has been on an up move, as Amit just suggested.
Yeah, let's see if the 1025 target, which is set by Amit, is met or not. But Gaurav, over to you. You two have two long calls for the day. Could you take us through the same?
The first recommendation today would be buy on DV's Lab. Over addition of 7% has been seen today. And if you look at last trading session, it's been consolidating in a range of 1055, 1075. It's now come out of that range. One can have a small source of 1070, 1068 on the upside. 1120, 1125 becomes quite possible. Second would be buy on JSW Energy, another name to consolidate quite a long amount of time. 85 call option has started seeing good amount of addition happening, and 90 call option is the highest by concentration. The second highest is seen at 85 levels. The moment it crosses 85, I think a swift trade till 90 cannot be ruled out. One can have a stop loss of 81 and play for targets of 90. If it sustains 90, there will be a bigger breakout and it can head towards 100 level also.
All right. Actually, Amit does have one more strategy, and it's on Z, if I'm not mistaken, Amit.
Yes.
Can you take us through that as well?
Yes. So Z has been making a good amount of, it's in a quite uptrend since long.
Right.
And if you see since Jan onwards, it has been consolidating in a 100-point band from 550 to 450 odd levels. And after this, it has given a breakout with good rise in open interest. Since the start of the series, the open interest has inclined by 9%. Even yesterday, the open interest was up by 1%. And it is quite strongly holding above the breakout level of 555.
Right.
So I think the stock, after this good amount of consolidation, is started to show some triggers. Even morning, it was trading with a very good volume and intensity. So I think this stock is definitely a buy with a good risk to reward perspective. On the downside, positionally 555 would act as a key support, and the stock can see momentum towards 640, 650 levels on the upside.
All right, there you have it.
Okay, so that's a long call on Z Entertainment. I'm just going to squeeze in a few more viewer queries here. Our regular viewer, Girish Kumar, has written to us. He wants to know what to do with India Cement. He's holding December futures one lot at 182, and the futures are currently trading above Girish's buy price of 182. If you could just pull up the December futures, they're somewhere about 183.5, and the lot size is actually 3,500. Amit, in the second half of the session yesterday, there was this rally seen for a couple of these mid-cap cement counters from the likes of Ramco to India Cement. What would you advise Girish for India Cement?
See, I agree that there has been, it has made some supporting action around 160, 165 odd levels and has given a short-term breakout above 180. So I would suggest that he should revise the stop loss to 179, which is close to today's low, and keep a target of 190 levels in short term.
All right, well, there is one more query coming in, and this one is from Amol Vag, and he has bought the Mindtree 600 December call at 5.75, and he asks, should he hold or sell? Let's take a look at, well, that particular option. It's currently trading at 2.55. Well, so he is making a little bit of a loss out there. Well, you know, Gaurav, if I can come to you on this one, what's your view on Mindtree, and what do you think can be done with the 600 call, considering we are looking at a little bit of contraction in premiums from the buying price for the viewer?
Well, the immediate resistance for Mindtree is 580. Once 580 is taken out, we can expect a 600 kind of move coming within a matter of 3 or 4 days. And again, as I said, it's going to be a truncated week, so things have to be very quick. I would recommend holding till end of day. If by end of day, if 580 is not taken out in Mindtree, I would recommend to exit the position. And on next week, if Mindtree crosses 580, one can again buy 600 call option for a quick up move for being ATM. So I would recommend hold till end of day and exit if it does not cross 580 today.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Mindtree. Well, on that note, I'd like to thank both our guests, Amit as well as Gaurav. Thanks a lot for joining us today and taking us through your views in the futures and options market.
Well, but with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. Stay tuned in, lots more lined up, and keep watching Bloomberg.